Hi, Pat, can you hear us?
Where? In Mount Vernon.
Now I gotta remember how to do this. Yeah.
What you're looking for that evening.
Pat, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Okay, great. We're gonna get started in a minute, I think, because I think
He didn't give you that, though, did
we didn't, but
I'd like to know more about that. Looks like
I may not need it. Who
not that I
knows?
smoke or drink.
I think we're all here. We were debating about you.
Yeah, well, it was questionable.
Yeah, and Joe. But, Stephen, has anybody else tried to log in? Okay. We'll go ahead and get started if we're all here. So we'll call this meeting to order. Find my, oh, there. I need to do this different. I guess, we'll call, our secretary can call, the roll call.
Heisman. Here. Linkus. No? I'm here. All right, Brish.
Here.
Phelan.
Here.
Beanstra.
Here.
Here.
Shevitz. Vickers.
Here.
George.
Here.
Okay. We have alternates Clark and Hanson and Kearns. Councilmember Kearns is also here, and Clinton Harold.
Okay. And adopt the minutes, we already amended the June 4th, so we don't need to worry about that. Minutes from the,
I did not get a chance to send those out, but I have a question on those, because there was a lot of back and forth going on what Pat was gonna send, and I don't have a good feel for, after going back and even watching it, what his comments were on where was I at?
Pat, can you,
2.04,
why don't you flip that up, so.
sorry.
Pat, Sean's got some questions about your comments from the last meeting,
This is
to fill out the minutes.
we had a back and forth with Joe asking if we could start from one document, and Pat, you had a section you were reading off in red, and I think I maybe pulled it up from there. And I thought you were gonna distribute that, but I did not see that, so I couldn't include it with what I was gonna send out to everybody.
I think, where's it at? I think this is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, that's what I needed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I just saw that sentence was repeating itself, and so I think that's correct.
Now, are you seeing our screen, Pat? Do I have it shared right, or do I need to do something else?
Thank you.
No, I can see it.
Okay, good.
I'm seeing the strike through on paragraph A, and that's correct because it should be in the chief executive officer paragraph. below, and it's repeating there, so we don't say it twice.
Oh,
Shows here.
That
Thank
makes
you.
sense?
all you've missed of note is the roll call, so we'll mark you present.
Thank you.
Catch your, no. So I guess we'll just bypass those till the next time.
Yep.
So.
I'll send them
Well,
out after
yeah.
I get that formatted.
We'll deal with those on the 20th. Communications, you should have all gotten a couple of notes, memos from me included with the agenda. I just took the liberty of mailing that out, a couple of points that we can deal with when we get down to the business items. I have not received any other communications. Anybody have anything they want that they've heard or they've gotten somebody contacting them? If not, we'll jump into the business part. And I always hate to go back, but we're going to, because I've mentioned a couple people says, and Pat can chip in here, talking about the council, after further review, and I put something, to get back to the beginning. The question came up, and I raised it, and I don't know why I even thought of it. Since there is a specific code section detailing how the size of a council, the composition of the council is changed, can we do that in the charter? And the city legal counsel says basically, no, that has to be done by a specific code section. We can't address that in the charter.
Mr. Chair, was there, originally when there was 9, was that in the charter?
Good question, and personally, and I don't know if Pat knows, I have asked the question, and nobody knows how it was done back in the 80s. I have not found any city records. I shouldn't say personally me, but searches have been done to find out what, and I can't answer that question. I've talked to people who were around, who were actually on the city council. They don't remember at the time. But this is what we're faced with today. Whether the code changed, whether somebody did something different, I don't have an answer. And I don't know if somebody knows somebody who's got a better answer, because that was a perplexing issue to me that I don't know how they did it. And I did try to find out.
And that was in the 80s?
80, well, they changed it as near as anybody can tell in the charter at the time. How they did it, and again, the codes may have changed. I don't know when this was adopted.
I don't think we should worry about it. Let's not spend too much time
No,
worrying about it.
but if we got to change what we propose, we've got to change it.
Well, I have some comments on that if I can.
Then the floor is open to anybody.
I think we're dealing with some semantics here. Our role as a commission is to review the current charter and to make recommendations on what could be changed or should be changed. We are not writing the charter. Let's be clear about that. I think that to change what we are suggesting in the draft is wrong. We realize that the going from 7 to 5 is an issue that will have to go to the voters, and rightfully should. But that's for the council and for the legal counsel to worry about. It's not our issue. We have agreed that we believe we should recommend going from 5 to 7, from 7 to 5, and all at large is our recommendation, and that should stand in the draft. Now, we can put in a cover memo an acknowledgement that the council can't act on its own on this, that it has to go to referendum. But we have agreed as a group that this is our recommendation, and I think the document that we ultimately hand to the council should have that in it.
This is what was proposed to put in. We would not change the composition sections. the suggestion from the legal counsel was to put in a clause like this for the presentation. But legally, we can't touch that.
We're not touching it.
But we put the recommendation in there, but we don't actually, we can't change the wording of the charter.
Well, that's
See-
what we're doing in everything though.
Yeah, but we can't make a recommendation.
I don't think I made my point, Dave. We're not writing the charter. We're making recommendations to the council to review and change the charter.
But Pat, is what you're saying in your email that the genesis of a change like that, it has to start with a citizen petition and it couldn't come
Yes.
from the council?
Right.
So, yeah, and I think we can accomplish, I kind of look at the end product that we'll have is just kind of a bucket of ideas that we bring to the council that is not, it doesn't necessarily have to have all the commas and the periods in the right place, and it could be some, off the wall ideas, but through our discussions, we kind of come up with different ideas on different changes and things, but the way I read your email, Pat, is that since a change like that would have to start with that citizen petition, we can't, try to change the home rule charter and even recommend that would be a change in the wording, because it would have to start with that citizen petition, but that we can have as part of our ideas to the council that, hey, this is the thing, one of the things we talked about is changing this, and these are the reasons why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, Matt. And I talked with Rich Phelan earlier today about this, and what I think we should do is we'll have a cover letter when we transmit the proposed changes with the red line to the charter itself. I think we leave the composition paragraph untouched. In other words, we don't do a red line if we think it's going to require a citizen petition. But in our cover transmittal, we say we would recommend that a citizen petition go forward to change the composition paragraph as follows, and we can include that in the cover letter, right? Additionally, Rich mentioned to me that there may be some interest in possibly, Rich sent some language about how council members could trigger a review of the city administrator, and we talked about the fact that's probably more of an administrative rather than a form of government type change. And I told Rich the same thing I'll tell everybody here. I think that could also go in the cover transmittal letter saying, apart from the charter, it appears that it might be advisable for the council to consider as an ordinance or a policy the following. And you would have a description of what Rich had said about 2 or more members of the council can, by request, place on the agenda a review of the city administrator at any time when they believe it's appropriate. And because that's administrative in nature, if you go back to my original memo, you can see where Maddie's research had pointed out there was a number of cases that suggested that if it's administrative or legislative in nature, it shouldn't really be in the charter. But that doesn't mean we can't redline what we think we can change in the charter about the form of government. And then with that, we have a separate transmittal letter that says, apart from the red line you see attached, we would also recommend a change to the composition of the council from 7 to 5, elimination of the wards, if that's what you want to recommend, and put a note in there that says that has to be initiated by referendum, by petition of the citizens, as Matt has explained. And then also you have a separate section where it says we also think there should be some adjustments to the city code or city policy regarding oversight of the administrator. So in other words, we could just remove the red line in the composition and division into wards paragraph and just leave it as is, but then we note it in the responsive transmittal letter. If that makes sense. I think that Rich Phelan and Dave Vickers are saying the same thing. They're just having a translational issue as to how we would communicate that to the council. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not walking away from 5. It's just that it can't be expressed directly in the charter, the composition.
Right.
I'd like to make some comments.
Joe?
I find this extremely frustrating that we come back to the same issues. We take a decision and we come back to the same issues the very next meeting and rehash it all again. When I signed up for this, what I understood was we were going to recommend changes to this document. And then the city council and the government would take it from there. If we are going to recommend 5 people on the 5 council members, then we should put it in this document. And then when it goes to the city council and whoever else is going to look at it, at least they have what we recommend. If we start putting it in here, putting it in a memo, we lose all of the continuity and the thought process that we put together on this. And I find this extremely frustrating. I've not missed a single one of these meetings, even when I've been on the other side of the planet. I find it very important to do, but we continue to do the same things, and I'm very upset. Sorry.
Well, I agree with Joe. I think our document should reflect what our feelings are. And Pat, I think that the comments about, that having to go to a citizen petition should be in the transmittal document. But I think our thoughts should be in the document that we agreed to at the end.
I'd ask the question, if some enterprising council member asked, if we put this in the charter, and they said, Pat, is this legal to put into the charter, what would your answer be? I don't like to put you on the spot, but
Dave, we're
My
not
answer-
writing
my
the
answer-
charter.
not right, but we have to submit we have to play by the Iowa code.
We have been asked for our opinions. That's why
If we
we
do
are
it-
here. And that should be in our document.
I agree, because I feel like we sit here, we put in the research, we have the conversation, we're all passionate about it, is the reason we're sitting here, and then we get these memos. And basically, it undoes everything we discussed at the previous meeting. So, like has been pointed out, we are not rewriting this document. We are making our recommendations. Now, how we get from point A to point B is not ours to determine. But it
Yeah,
is disheartening to the process when we all get these memos of something we've all sat here, we all voted on. I can't recall a vote that we haven't been unanimous on, maybe one. And then we get here and we go back 3 steps.
I don't think we're going backwards on this. I know that prior to this memo, my assumption was that the home rule charter section regarding the size of the council could be amended straight up. I did not know that.
But we're not
In my
rewriting
mind,
it. We're not rewriting it.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. In my mind, these changes that we have voted on, that the changes that we were recommending were able to be done, period, by this body. And then when it says, the code says, no, the rules have changed when it comes to the size of the council. Okay, that's different than what my expectation was when we voted on that. We are saying the same thing, whether it's in a cover letter or whether it's in a red strike version of the charter, in my mind is immaterial. Our views are being made very clear with the submission in its entirety of the red strike part of it and any cover letter and any other ancillary documents that we want to submit. And if it is the advice of council that we do it one way, if it is the advice of the League of Cities that data gets presented in a certain way, I'm going to tend to hitch my wagon to those 2 sources of information. And I have more information now than I had a month ago.
I just wanted to say that I think Joe and Aaron feel that if we don't include the red line in there, that we're backtracking on what we're recommending. The only thing I meant to suggest is that we transmit those recommendations in a transmittal letter, separate and apart from it, so that we make it clear that we understand and recognize that that city council cannot change the charter by a red line like that without a citizen referendum. The only reason I made that suggestion, it's merely procedural, is the only reason I made those comments. I think Joe and Aaron are correct that that was what people want on this commission, and we need to communicate that. All I was suggesting is that we take the suggested replacement language that we want, and we, outside the document, just so there isn't any confusion, right? We don't want the council to be confused and think they can just approve a red line, because they can't, right? They have to do it by referendum on that section. So I was suggesting that I'm not disagreeing with Joe or Aaron at all. I think they're correct that that is the will of this body, and that's what they want to recommend, and they should. I just think the method of transmitting that information should be in a separate, distinct document that goes with it that says, I think section 1 and 2 of the division on the composition of the council should be amended as follows, and then have Dave's note there about 372.1311A and say that's the reason why we're saying this separately. That's all I'm saying. So I'm agreeing with both sides. I don't have if we do it this way, we can transmit the document with the red line if we want, and we can leave it in there. It's just I'll have a lot of explaining to do.
That was gonna be my question, Pat, is if you would strike it out, because I think where I struggle with that is if it's not struck out, if I'm signing off on this, that I agree with this. I don't agree with that it should be 7, I think it should be 5. I understand it would be in a cover letter or whatever it may be, but if I'm handing over a document on what I would like to see or ideas, I think it should be struck.
Yeah, and the other option would be is just cut and paste the strikeout and the replaced language and put that in a separate document and say, this is what we would recommend at this section, but we recognize that a public referendum would be needed, and you separate it out. I don't care. We can do it this way. There's no problem with that. It's just I'll have to explain it at the council level to make sure everybody understands that the committee recognizes that the council can't strike that without a referendum. And also, and then also on the questions that Rich had about, 2 council members calling for a review of the city administrator, we would have a similar note there that says, we really recommend that because that's administrative and procedural and not having to do with the form of government, that there be an ordinance passed to that effect.
Pat, the difference here is that the first issue is part of the role of the composition of government. The second is, as you have pointed out, is not. And I agree with Aaron that the strikeout should remain. And because that is our recommendation.
Pat,
It's up to the council and you as the city attorney to do this correctly. That's not our deal.
I can make it work either way, Rich. Whatever works for the HRC, we'll make it work.
to be frank, I think that's part of your job, is to clarify any questions to council. We have had, since my tenure on the council, countless amounts of documents you've sent to us or contracts, and some been red lines, some not been. And I will tell you from experience, the red lines are much easier to follow, so you can track the changes, versus the ones that, well, we just updated it. Well, what did the last document say? Well, then you've got to go back and pull another document up and make sure all that verbiage is right. But when you have the changes highlighted there or stricken, it's very easy to say, okay, this was maybe the intention. I don't agree with it. Maybe we don't agree with it. That's fine. But at least that council member now can have that at their fingertips and say, okay, maybe this is what they were thinking. And you're there to be able to explain it to them. Hey, just so everybody knows, this portion cannot be adopted by council. It has to go to referendum.
I'm happy to do it whichever way you guys want. It'll work either way.
Well,
We dilute our efforts, by putting it in different documents. I think we redline this, and we put in what we recommend, and as you just mentioned, it's Pat's role to go through that from a legal perspective with the council. That's not our job.
I'm gonna make a motion that we leave it as was and we'll move forward, back onto the mayor's section.
second.
Let me ask, do you want to
Now's the
put?
time for discussions.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask, are you including some reference to the
The
council?
referendum?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like we have there, something,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just
Yeah,
want to make
there-
sure.
We should absolutely, because if we got a council member that's sleeping up there, they should absolutely know that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to be forthright, but we don't want to dilute, like you said, dilute our efforts. So I think there absolutely should be a memo that says, just so you know, you cannot adopt this as
Yeah.
is. You have that discussion and.
But this is the recommendation of the
Of the
whole
committee.
charter committee, yes.
Yeah, well, that's what I put up there. So something to that version, we could put, if you don't want to put it in a letter, put it right in the charter, right in the presentation. So it's right in front of the,
Well, maybe I'm going back to my business training for, I don't know how many years. But whenever we do an important document, we have a transmittal document, a letter on the top of it that says, here's what we've done, and kind of an executive summary. And I further believe at some point, this commission is going to have to stand before the council at that podium and tell them exactly what we've done, what we've recommended, and that will be part of it, is the change of the council composition has to be done by Iowa code through a citizen's petition, which will be no problem, by the way, because I'll be happy to start it myself.
How many signatures do we need?
Well, that,
We haven't got there yet.
No, but like today, what would we need?
1,500?
no,
No.
it's not an initiative in referendum. It's in the code section.
anyway, let's not worry about that at this
Yeah.
point, but
I think it's not very
Yeah.
many.
I would support the redlining changes there, with the paragraph that's kind of below there, but have that, the draft and the colon and that comment to be taken out and put in that separate kind of cover letter.
That's-
To communicate that
Yeah.
and any other legal issues that there might be with any of our proposed ideas.
That's Pat's role in this. It's not our role.
it's the council's role and Pat's, you're right.
I just wanted to make sure that we understood well, I would have a bit, that we also need to recommend things that do fit the Iowa code. If it violates the Iowa code, then we shouldn't be proposing them. That was my point.
But we're not violating.
Not violating the code.
So,
As long as we let them know.
so long as they don't try to adopt it.
Yeah.
It's not our responsibility, that's on them.
Yeah.
Well, even if they do try to adopt it, it's not our deal.
Right.
I'd call the motion.
Was there already?
There was a second and we did
Yeah,
a
it's been,
discussion.
who had the second?
I did.
Somebody down here.
Do you want to clarify what we're voting on, just so?
Just to move forward, basically,
With
instead of
Cabazon
rehashing
and-
where we're at.
Okay.
Well, would it be
To leave the red
to
line.
pull that,
To leave the
to
red
pull that draft comment
Right.
out, but
And
to
put-
have that in like a transmittal communicate?
The draft
cover
goes
letter.
with the transmittal, okay.
Okay.
We're gonna vote?
No, I was gonna make sure Sean's still writing.
Okay.
He's still writing, so ready?
Did you say you had a question?
No, that means call.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. They called the question, yeah.
Are we gonna do an up, down, or a roll?
Should I do a roll call on this, I suppose, just to be fair?
Okay.
Especially since we're minus a few members, just so we have a formal record of the votes.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Let me get them in order here.
Okay.
If I haven't told you today, I'm really glad you're the secretary, not me.
Okay, Eisman. Aye. And Connell. Yes. Vickers,
Yes.
Veenstra.
Yes.
Poinkus,
Yes.
Brish,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, that is done, all approved, and we just missing Mishevitz. Passes.
And the other one actually gets, now, of course, what is, you wanted some of this, tell me if well, this kind of follows the agenda as in order says. So we'll fix this up, we'll leave this in here, just replace with, because really, I'll talk with Pat, make sure there's nothing more we need to say here. You got that, Pat? And then, we didn't change anything here. We got rid of the spending, because it's already, not sure why it's there, to begin with. Then, we didn't change anything here. We get to, we changed the wording here on the appointments of the city administrator. This is the wording that everybody agreed to. Everybody can see that, everybody in agreement there? That's what we agreed to. I'm just double checking before we get too far down the road. Anybody problem with that one? That's what we supported, as near as I can recall and what my notes showed. We stuck in the one.
Just a quick question, Dave. You changed manager to administrator, wherever it
Oh, did I
came.
miss that one?
No, I don't know. I'm just asking.
I know,
It looked like you did.
yeah,
If you scroll
I
up.
tried, but I'll double check. I know that's one word.
There it is.
Yeah. Oh, city manager, need to
Page
change
five,
that.
yeah.
I wonder if can I do this? Is this the?
There we go.
Yeah, that's,
Go ahead, maybe it's not connected.
it may not connect. Oh, well, I'll. I've
We
got-
can, that's a detail we can work out.
Yeah, if we miss one, we'll, where's that at? That's on page 5. Pretty sure that appointments, okay, I got it, I'll just, I have a copy I can scribble on. We just inserted the word just to make, make sure it's understood it was a council. Here's the verbiage that we generally agreed to, I think it was the last meeting, whatever it was. I don't know if y'all saw it in the, I tried to send this out so y'all had it, that we all agreed to that. And then somewhere, this is where we get into, are you agreeable to putting suggestions into if we're doing the council to some transmittal document that the committee believes the council should look at some further administrative functions, let the council decide? The council's had a chance, and I mentioned that, the council could have at any point in time in the past made those changes, and they haven't. So if it's going to be up to them, we can suggest that was an idea and put it
I'm
into
not sure what
that.
you're saying.
Well, we're talking about the mayor section. One of the issues was mayoral powers and overseeing the administrator.
Yeah.
And just stick that into the transmittal document, as you call it, with the council section. We not put anything in the charter. That's been one of the issues. Now, we haven't, we've had several ideas tossed around.
Can you go back up to more of the top of page 7? For some reason, the one I printed doesn't have the red line, so I just want, or the red, it's in black, so I just want to
Oh, I'm
make sure it
sorry.
says the same thing here.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it does.
Because I think, if I recall, what we wanted to say about the mayor overseeing this position, this is reflected in this paragraph, correct?
Generally, it is.
So are you proposing something in addition to, or
No,
to remove
I
something
think
from
Rich
here?
has been proposing that there be more mayoral oversight of the city administrator. I think that's been one of Rich's comments, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of that is included in here is that they can carry out some of those things you talked about. I just wanted, Rich has talked about that. I didn't want to leave that behind, since it was even mentioned a bit ago.
One of the things that I did this past week is go back to the memo that Pat, one of your colleagues, wrote to you about what was allowable by Iowa code. And I think that the red line we have here, I believe is, but I think the things I was going to recommend about how and when the administrator has reviews, which, by the way, are very important because that's the accountability to the citizens. But that's more, Pat, correct me if I'm saying your words wrong, but it's more administrative and probably does not belong in the charter.
You're asking
jumped-
me, Rich, if this particular red line that's on the screen being
No,
shared?
no, we've moved on from that.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
my memo from a couple of weeks ago that said I'd like to see these items included. I can find it if you give me a minute, but in the charter, and it called for at least annual, and I don't know what all I said. And actually, you rewrote it for me. I have that here.
Yeah, I shortened it quite a bit. I was very concerned about it because it seemed to run afoul of Maddie's memo with all that case law in it about the more detailed it becomes and gets down into granular, the less likely it looks like a charter overview, right? So I guess my opinion on that issue was that I think that's probably the will of the council to move in that direction, and it probably ought to happen by ordinance. Rather than in the charter, because that doesn't specifically deal with like necessarily the broad outlines of what everybody does and what their powers are. That's more of a policy type or ordinance type directive. I said to you, Rich, and I don't think you're wrong, that there could be an argument that it defines the powers of the city council, and therefore you could maybe get away with it. So, I mean, if the charter committee wanted to do that, I don't know if we can defend it. It's a 50-50 kind of thing.
If the Section 4, Mayor Powers and Duties, redlined as it's existing on the screen today, if that is our recommendation, I think we can work with that. I would like to include in our presentation and transmittal letter some comment that there needs to be a defined methodology for review of the administrators.
My question would also be, is the city, are we able to recommend, or can the city update a contract once so if we have a contract with the city administrator and then the council decides that they want to change some things, are we able, or are they able, not us, to update a contract at that point? Or does it have to be when they're hired or during a review, or how does that process work? Maybe that's something for the council to figure out, but I think that's one of your concerns as well, as far as you just want to make sure that city government is functioning as it properly should. And as with anything, once you start something, you realize, okay, I should have done this way or that way. And how possible is it to go back and make those changes?
Well, yes, the answer is yes in a broad sense, but, both parties have to agree. So, if the administrator says, I'm not interested in making that change, then the council's response could be, well, we're not interested in a pay raise either, so, or we're going to go another direction. So there's always some give and take when those types of requests are made, but the short answer is sure, you can always modify a contract as long as the parties are going to sign a modified contract, and I think the council has a lot of power to order, to say that, if you want more pay from us or consideration from us, we need you to work with us on the contract, okay? We need to make some edits, and councils do that all the time, and, where the problem happens is when one part or the other says, absolutely not, I'm not changing the contract. Then you got to decide how you're going to conduct business from here on out. Are we going to continue to have a relationship at all, right? So the answer is yes, but there can be some complications if nobody is going to be reasonable.
Okay, let's move on.
We can take care of that. Was there anything else in the mayor section? That was one of the issues. We can deal with that.
I think we were done with this.
Well, does that wrap up the mayor section? Are you all happy? Do we want to take a, really, the big change made was the one kind of redoing the section of powers and duties, kind of reworking that a little bit. And I think that was,
I would make a motion that we approve section 204 with the edits that we've reviewed.
I'll second that.
any questions, further discussions that we have on the board?
Maybe just more of a question, just Pat, in that section, that 204, have you seen anything kind of that's a little bit different or, compared to other cities you've seen and other of your coworkers?
In
Dealing with the
204?
veto, yeah, the 2.04, that's
Yeah.
the mayor's
I'm
section,
used to
right?
seeing similar language
Okay.
in other cities, yes.
No,
That's
good, thanks.
There's nothing crazy about that. That's typically how the mayor-council form works in my experience.
Good, thanks.
Thanks.
So the motion could be to approve as amended? Is that what you're asking? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And who was the second?
Demerits, maybe.
Yeah.
How would you like to do it? You
Roll
wanna do
call.
it?
We're
Roll
gonna do a
call?
roll call and then
Okay,
put you to work.
yeah. Eisman,
Yes.
Connell, yes. Vickers,
Yes.
Veenstra,
Yes.
Oinkes.
Yes.
Brish,
Yes.
Phelan,
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Okay, approved.
Now we're on to 2.05. I guess a couple things, I didn't really even pay much attention here.
Pretty short.
Where we go. We need to change the manager to administrator, right? I'll make a note of that. That's just kind of a housekeeping item, we're not, unless somebody was to vote on that, I think. Now, this basically, Pat, you can help us out, it basically says follow the state code. Anything else that we should, the state code takes care of it from there? On the city manager 2.05?
Yeah, we just change it to administrator and I think that's all I would, well, I don't know why we have, I don't know that we need to reference the ordinance 1772 dated June 26, 1984.
Yeah, because if that ever gets changed, then
Yeah.
Maybe it's over.
Already been changed.
I think we ought to just have have it say 2.05 city administrator, the council by ordinance may provide for city administrator and prescribe the administrator's powers, duties, and compensation, period. Delete the rest.
I would agree.
And that's a general and true
Just take the
statement
first,
about
after the first sentence, delete everything after the first sentence?
I would think so. It's extra information that isn't needed, I don't think. Either that, or we gotta go back and find, and take this ordinance 1772 and amend it. We could do an amended ordinance, changing the language to reflect administrator and,
Yeah, I'd suggest, Pat, I'd suggest that's something for you and the council to deal with. I like the shorter version.
Yeah, I just pull it out.
One sentence, yeah. I got that marked to take off, so. You want to take a quick vote on that? Are we done with that section? That's pretty, because
Do you
everything.
need a vote on that, Pat, or what's your thoughts there? If it's, we've already established the administrator, manager is now the administrator. Do we need a vote to remove that? Or do we just,
Or you
I
can
can
just
just-
wait till the end of the meeting and approve all the changes we discussed, either way.
Yeah, we do that, because we may not have,
redline that?
I can, I'll do it. I don't think if the keyboard's not connecting, then
Oh.
I'll just take everything out after, I'll just take all of that out.
Right click on that, right click and see if you
Yeah.
can just highlight it or redline it.
Yeah.
There
There,
you go.
I don't know if I can,
You should be able to strike through up there in the
Where?
upper left-hand corner. Up in the very far top, up
oh, yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
next to, right there. You go.
There.
Chairman, there's nothing in 1772, the ordinance, that would go
Yeah,
against
There.
anything, would it?
I don't think so.
Because it talks in here about the appointment of the city manager and removal.
Did you find that American legal, or was there?
No, I pulled it off
it was.
the website.
I think it follows the state code pretty much, I think. Do you know, Pat, of course, that goes back to 84, but I think the city manager's duties are pretty well prescribed.
We have an ordinance that delineates the city administrator, so if we got rid of the reference to the ordinance number 1772, and we just, maybe I'm missing the point of your question, if it just says administrator in there, it's gonna be referencing an ordinance that's a different ordinance. It won't be reflected as to what one it is,
Yeah.
but we have a city administrator ordinance already, so
Yeah, we don't need
Yeah, it
to,
looks like that one was done in 99
yeah.
from
Oh, you got
American
that one?
Legal. I pulled up that one, and it looks like that was a
Yeah,
99 deal,
so-
so it would be irrelevant to
Yeah,
have that
so-
anyway.
Does it say in there that that has to be a resident of the city?
Yeah,
I think we just redline this and then
Yeah.
put in city administrator, we're good.
yeah. Remind myself to take care of that, so.
Code was done in 99, it said, and then the ordinance passed in 13, so there was a revision in 13 at some point.
Yeah.
Dave, are you doing this with track changes? Are you doing this with track changes on?
I don't know if it's on or not. I just-
Because if you do that, when you delete it, it shows it as a change.
Oh, that- yeah.
Yeah, it's much cleaner.
Yeah, well, I'll fix that. I'm not used to using this up here, so I can fix that up at home. I
Okay,
think,
so we're basically just
I don't
getting rid
know. So, anybody got any questions? We're getting into boards, commissions, committees. I don't know if anybody's read much of this. Pat, is this pretty much like this kind of stuff, the boards, is that pretty much follow anything, state codes, kind of standard verbiage for most items like that? Do you know?
As far as I can tell, it's general enough. It looks to me to be legally accurate. It's a general statement of the power of the council to establish boards and commissions. I don't think it says anything in here. I'm not seeing anything in here that is now not allowed or illegal. Residency requirements look good.
Appointments, vacancies, those are all, I've seen that in the code. Does this pretty much follow that kind of code language?
Well, I I don't have the code up and the rest of, or the code proper up in front of me. All members shall residence.
There isn't anything in there that I think is of an issue.
No, I agree, John. I didn't know how far we were gonna get today, so I've
Yeah,
been reading ahead here, and I haven't gotten down to rules yet, but the other first two are pretty vanilla and okay with me.
I think the rules is the most milquetoast of the three. You'll have rules,
yeah.
period.
Maybe we should adopt some.
Too late. If you want, we could take a quick look, initiative referendum. That's actually basically, and Pat may have looked at some of these, and it's going through pretty fast of where, I think he mentioned before, says, if you look at some of the other charters, the initiative and referendum sections are almost, exactly the same. Because when these were done, initiative and referendum was,
In my review, the only paragraph of section 207 that seemed to call out for discussion and adjustment would be section C number 12 under petitions and sub A, number of signatures. That seemed out of whack. That was one of our very, very first discussions we had, but there seemed to be consensus that that was a pretty high bar.
I think that's a fair note, I think.
John, I'm not,
We're on page 12.
Yeah, what page are you on?
no wonder.
On the one here, it says about change 12.
Page 8
Oh, yeah, on the original,
of the original.
yeah.
Yep. And of the one that you sent over this time, it's page 12.
12, page 12, I think.
Under petitions,
Yeah,
number
petition.
of signatures.
Yeah.
The numbers, lots of versions.
Yeah.
While we're pondering that number, I do have a question, Pat. What's the difference between initiative and referendum?
Well, an initiative is where you are pushing for a specific ordinance to be adopted. Right?
Okay, I got you.
That's
all.
how you delineate between the two, whereas, the referendum is on a specific question to the voters, such as, where you require a petition of signatures to approve a particular measure of whatever, which is a bit different.
Well, thank you, Pat. I got it.
I mean, we're one of the charter cities that allows that, and it's an interesting idea that is pretty popular in a lot of places, but only the charter cities really do it.
So on the number of signatures, we had this discussion, and we didn't come to a conclusion, as you said, John, but it's a double-edged sword. We want to provide that opportunity to our citizens. I think we need to do that, I believe.
But we don't want
But you
frivolous-
can't have it so low that if, somebody wants to plant a tree in the right-of-way somewhere, and I object to it, that we can have that gets,
It should be attainable, it should be doable, but it shouldn't be easy.
As I recall, one of the, kind of getting to the meat of the discussion was comparing the 25% of voters in the last regular election. How does that historically compare to the, but not fewer than 1,500? And I think that gap was what we kind of wanted to try to
I think Ryan and
narrow.
Mike both have, Mike, I'm thinking of your dad, Matt, both have,
Me too.
data on the last very number of elections. Probably unfair to ask them to find it right away, but
But they're so good at it.
And I wonder if part of that number came about, at the time, the population, again, in Clinton was 36 or 37,000, and, maybe it was some percentage of that they wanted to set that threshold at 1,500, and,
Well, I think, and somewhere the numbers exist, if you just say, for example, if at the last city election, 4,000 people voted, 25% would be 1,000. But if we're requiring, and I think 4,000 is probably gonna be pretty close.
It's pretty high, actually.
Yeah.
I gave mine sheet to Chris. Do you have that?
I was just looking.
So, and no fewer than 15, again, that's a big discrepancy. If we, I don't, 25%'s, okay, I think it's the minimum number is where,
I have the numbers of who voted in city school election in 23, 21, and 19.
and what are they, Ms. George?
Oh, well, they're broken out by ward.
Oh, they don't give a bottom
I
line?
have the total.
Here, I can
Pull this up.
Okay.
Yes, I was just looking at that. Aha, here we go. This one, right?
Yeah, oh, there he has it.
Yeah, so 2023, 1449 total votes. 2021, 2265. 2019, 3349. 2017, 2232. 2016, that was a special election, 1448.
So if somebody do a quick
It's
math,
pitiful.
it sounds like, I'm guessing, what, about 1,800, 2,000 average?
Yeah, that 1448, 25% of that would have been,
362. Kind of
Well,
a high election, 4,400.
Which election was that?
2011.
I was just gonna say, in the city-only elections, like, even in a bunch of those, it's incredible how few people vote on day of, because I even have it separated out by absentee here. And of those 1,400, 415 were absentee.
So what's a good minimum number? If we look back at the numbers tossed out there, and not doing the math, it just sounds like roughly 1,700, 2,000 would be an average.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to figure a number. What's a good minimum number?
Well, post-pandemic, you're at 1,800.
Okay.
If you add 2019 and 2017, the average is 2,200, 2,300.
So let's say even 2,000,
It's only 500.
it's only 500.
That's,
Seems like I don't
and
know.
we don't have to pick a number now, because I know it's 5 o'clock, so I don't want to, unless we're close to, you can, a number to think about.
We're getting close to the end, though, aren't we?
Unless
Dave?
you just want to pick a number, that's about the only thing that's left. Or we can come back.
500 sounds like a nice round number.
Which one?
500 signature. Like I said, the average is probably 2,000.
We want to make careful we don't make it too low.
Yeah, I might go bump a little higher, but,
I'd go
But just a-
750 or 1,000
yeah.
Okay.
For the minimum. So it
minimum,
would
yeah.
be 25% average, plus a cushion to, for lack of better grammar, weed out the frivolous
Yeah.
opportunities.
Why don't we ponder that? But we are getting close to actually going through the document. I think we should, at our next meeting, complete it and then decide on what the next steps are.
Back on April 16th, we talked about this, and
Yes.
we kind of all agreed that 1,500 was okay.
Oh, did we
This
agree
is
with
back,
that?
this is back, okay, this is what I'm trying to say,
I
we
thought-
keep going back to
I
the
thought we
same
agreed it was
stuff.
too- I thought
Well,
we
we're
agreed it was
smarter
too
now.
many. Yeah. I thought we agreed it was too many. That's why I said that,
We started out that way.
and then we
and then-
decided.
And then
it was
we
okay.
landed on it.
Okay, maybe and we can leave it. I mean, I'm not,
The challenge that we face then is if we continue to decline in population, that does it become unattainable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the purpose of having it in there is so that there can be a citizen-led referendum or initiative, it's gotta be something attainable, like you said, not to the point where you could go to a football game on Friday night and get every signature you need in one swoop,
Right,
but like if you were dedicated to it.
How many signatures do you need to run for city council?
Percentage of the last election.
It's a small, we were
It's
just talking about that.
it's fairly small.
It's fairly small, especially,
Like I needed 17 signatures.
yeah.
In a ward?
Yeah, an
Was that an
award.
award though? right?
17?
Yeah, but that gives you an
I mean, I
idea.
wanna say mine was like 100 and something,
Yeah.
120 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Could we drop it down to 1,000?
Yeah, just following, I did a real quick and dirty, you know, the same following the percentage decrease in population, doing the same percentage decrease from the 1,500 would put it at 973.
Yeah.
So,
I like
mean, real
proportional
close to
relationships
1,000.
and things like this, because then it's not an arbitrary.
There's a math to it, and I,
What did the Parks one bring? Anybody remember?
2000,
24.
what year is it?
It was 2024 that it was turned in,
Yeah.
correct? So it
Yep,
was 2024.
oh, signatures?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
So, 1,000, is that what we're saying?
Or 975.
Yeah,
I'll make
I
a
like-
motion for 1,000.
Second.
I like round numbers.
Okay.
Is it okay to actually vote on it next meeting? Kind of stew on it a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing that I saw in,
Okay, so are we withdrawing our
You
motions?
gonna withdraw the motion?
I'll withdraw for consideration, to be on the agenda for next month, next time. One thing that because we're getting towards the end, in the Fort Dodge Charter, they have a separate article, Article 5, the Salary Review Advisory Board. So review that in Fort Dodge, it's on page 8. That may change, if we decide to do something like that, that would change the limitations as far as salaries of city employees. But I kind of liked.
So I have a
that.
question. Pat, recently there was the change at the state level that I know at least for the county, that requirement changed slightly. Does that apply to city as well?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to look at that. I don't remember that it did, but it might have.
So we do have a committee that does that already. I don't know, is that codified in ordinance, Pat?
For the
That
council.
does what, John?
It's a review committee for salary. That's for, I wanna say the mayor and the council, but I don't know if it includes staff on that.
Probably not.
I would say no.
I know we have I know Matt has some activities going on to review salaries, but I don't know what the formal committee structure is for it.
Well, I agree with Ryan, though. This is an article that I think we should think about incorporating.
Salary.
Yeah, because I know for the county level, there's a requirement that you have to put in, there's certain things that have to be met, and if you don't have a board or a committee that does it, then it defaults to the Board of Supervisors has to put all this information together for legal purposes, so I would be interested to know if the same requirement stands for cities. I think it's always a good idea. I know we all get to pick a representative that comes to the table to discuss, and they make suggestions and recommendations, but it's not anything that we are legally obligated to follow either.
I think the last time it was done here was 17, because I was on the council when the committee brought it forward, and we didn't pass it, with the exception of the mayor, so it was the only one that got bumped at the time. But I don't know, again, I don't recall if that's in an ordinance
Yeah.
or not.
Well, whether it is or not, we could put it in the charter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we're getting towards the end here, that was the only thing that, when I reviewed all of them,
And it looks like theirs
That I
is
like.
just for, it says mayor and council compensation.
Right.
Elected officials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because as a council, you don't set any other salary.
Correct.
So
Well, with the
Correct.
exception of the administrator.
administrator and
I have a question, on the city administrator, does he have a contract? I mean, he gets hired and then that's it, but he doesn't have it like a contract every 3 years or how many?
I would say the current one's probably indefinite unless they.
That's what my question, see.
He does have a
He's gotta
contract,
go
though.
ask the city council for a raise if he wants a raise every year or every 2 years or whatever. Okay, I'm just curious. 'Cause that's a nice setup.
It states that in that 1772, it's indefinite.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah. You usually set it with the annual review, don't you? I mean, there's
Well,
an
and-
annual review, and that's when the,
Maybe, again, this would be more of an administrative function, but maybe it needs to be updated that that annual review also includes an annual review of the contract, that it does not automatically renew.
That's, yeah, I'd like to see that.
So maybe that's something that we could make a recommendation that is just a good practice, so that way the city administrator are on the same page as far as expectations, and requirements.
Do you have the one up from 1999, Sean? Does it say indefinite?
And I would put it on the same thing as far as like at the county level, last year we went through and all the department heads and elected officials had to update the job descriptions for all their employees. And we reiterated that if things change, you need to update that so that when we do have to fill a position, that it is actually reflected in the job description of what the individual is doing. So I would say that a contract with the city administrator would be similar to that in that these are what our expectations are and that it probably needs to be revisited on a regular basis.
good. We can look that up. We'll come back next month or next meeting, the 20th. Aaron won't be here.
I can try to zoom in. I'll probably be in the car.
You'll be in the car. You can watch on your phone.
I might be crying.
I hate to say you will,
If
but.
it's any consolation, I was, so.
Yes, yes.
We talked about public input meetings, so keep in mind, think about some dates for that. The Erickson Center is available for a number of dates. I talked with, or communicated with one of the people out there, I can't think who it was now. They had a couple of events, but we could pick a date. If we want to do the Erickson Center, I did not know, I just found out yesterday, like the Lions Library has a meeting room that will hold, I think they told me 75, and they have about 50 chairs. If we wanted to do something at the library instead of the Erickson Center, we wanted to do both. Think
Schools
about,
might be a good option too, because
Okay.
then it would kind of be in wards.
yeah,
Does it need to be broadcasted, Dave, those?
No.
No? Okay.
no, there's no requirement to broadcast anything. We do this, but there's no legal requirement to, strangely enough, there's no legal requirement to make it available online. It's nice, but, for that, we would not need to worry about that. If you want to have it here, so be thinking about dates, times, potential locations. Like I said, I found out yesterday. And I think the main library has a meeting room too, but I knew that the Lions could talk, North End would be an interesting, we don't often get that way. So-
Would we need to have a quorum of us at that?
No,
No.
Eagle
It'd be
Point,
nice.
Eagle Point would be a good choice too, if we thought we were gonna have
Yeah.
a big crowd,
Yeah.
which I doubt.
yeah.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, keep ideas in mind and we can pursue that, because it might be nice next meeting to
So-
firm up dates, times, and places.
I would say that, and I don't know which of us would put that together, but we definitely need a presentation that is consistent, that is offered at each of these informational
Yes.
sessions, that it can go through and it can be a slideshow that is shared. And then try to.
It doesn't
try to-
change.
Yes, and try to answer as many questions in that slideshow as we can, and then have questions at the end.
Well, yeah, that would be one of the goals, and
Yes.
that could also be,
But I think
Well-
that's something we need to look at when we're looking at dates, because it's gonna take a while to put that together.
we'll get it together. Somehow or another.
Just to be clear, we start next meeting reviewing section 2.07, which we've mostly done, but is that where everybody's head's at?
Yes,
Yes.
and the
Did we
focus
need
is,
a vote on that one? Because I know Pat said
Oh.
that at the end we could do a vote on.
I guess we could do that. We made a few changes.
I would make a motion that we formally adopt the changes that we have made discussed through 5:10 on this
With the
day.
exception of changing the amount of signatures.
Yeah, we haven't finished 207.
Yeah,
That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Second.
let's do a roll call vote on that real quick. Sean, did you throw away your?
I sure did.
Oh, no. Here, I got to.
All right. Okay, Eisman.
Yes.
Connell, yes. Vickers,
Yes.
Beanstra.
Yes.
Hoinkes,
Yes.
Brish,
Yes.
Phelan,
Yes.
George.
Yes,
Thank you.
motion to adjourn.
Pledge.
So adjourned. Second.
Yeah.
We aren't even gonna take a vote. We're out of here. Thank you all for coming. 20th, here.
See Rich, yeah, right there.